All right, everybody. Cheers and salutations. We're going to have ourselves an epic show. And you know what? With all due respect, everyone, I need everyone to stand for attention and give it up for two people who are definitely making a huge game change in the world of independent media, especially fresh off their awesome support for Jose Vega, who's running as an independent in the great state of New York. Give it up for the tag team champions, Dissidence. We've got Keaton, and we got the master himself, the master of 666, Russell, in the house. How are you doing, brother?
How you doing, Kit? What's going on, man?
It's really good to have both of you on the show. You know,
it's great to be here. So glad we could keep track of time this morning and get here.
Yeah, yes. Oddly enough, you guys showed up on time. It's a rarity.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Russell.
It was my understanding Briahna Joy Gray was joining us. Is that not the case?
I've tried to have. I've tried to have Briahna Joy Gray on the show. I've tried, and I have failed. I mean, you guys went further than me. I'm impressed.
Well. Hey, I mean that's no. There was actually, I'm spilling the tea here. She offered to come on at that point it was 9:30, and she said she could be on in 5 minutes. And look, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm much more of the mind like. How you feel about it personally has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. Mm-hmm. Fucking Keaton was ready to fucking kill a rabbit with his teeth.
No, that's not true.
It was like, all right. I mean, there's just not even a possibility of being able to do this. Like, I probably would have ruled the other way and said, yeah, fuck it. Like, let's get it in the can.
Well, hold on. Time out.
Keaton was literally ready to fucking go strangle a homeless person on general principles.
Well, that's not entirely. This is not entirely accurate. So it's not entirely accurate.
Go ahead, Keaton. Go ahead.
She messaged us at right when we were about to wrap, right after we had done, because I had planned for 5 segments. I planned the full show in case it happened. I planned for 5 segments. Usually, when we have a guest, we don't plan any segments. I'm like. Sometimes, all right, we think if she's going to be on at 8, we start at 7, we'll do 3. I'm like, let's plan a full show so that in case the worst happens, we still have a full show.
It's very fortunate we did it like that.
Yeah, so after the last segment, it's coming up on 9 o'clock, and she says, she's in a car heading home, and that she could probably be on soon. But at that point, we're done already. Like we can't. What am I gonna kill a half? And turns out she wouldn't have been ready till about 9:30. It's not like she messaged us and says, "I'm here at the computer now. Let me sign on." If that were the case, we'd have done it.
What? Yeah. But no, wasn't there a final one of like I could do it in 5 minutes because she had gotten home?
Well, that was after we had already launched into the Q&A. That's when we were already off YouTube.
We were already on the Rumble side?
That was already done at that point. No, she was ready to go, and it was just a matter of admitting her. Then, of course, I'd have done that. Yeah, I wouldn't have just out of spite not done it. But we never had a predictable timetable as to when she could actually be on, and I can't keep the audience waiting forever. So yeah.
Yeah. If here's the thing, I haven't had a guest of that high profile ghost me. I know we get ghosted. It's the dating world all over again, but this time for independent media. But when we started in radio, myself and Daniel, I got to be very careful how I covered this part. But there was a prominent person in Chicago that I tried to get on the show, not once, but 3 times. All right. And I say prominent, they played a significant role for something big here in the city at the time. And 3 times I tried to get them on the show when we were on radio. So we only went live every Saturday on the radio. And each time, they go, and I was not prepared, but I got lucky to have a certain situation to fill in that segment in which they'd be there. And then another time, too, when I was trying to get the governor candidates on the show in 2018, still being ghosted by 2 different campaigns. And I remember Daniel just saying to me, hey, dude, look, listen, if they're not going to be showing up the first time, it means that they don't respect us and that we have to move on and that we have to prepare for something just in case a guest does ghost us, which I always do now. Like having a guest, I had no idea that she was going to show up at the last minute, which I do hope that she maybe can make amends with you guys and be like, hey, look, I'm sorry. But that is...
No, we said we would pre-record something. We'll pre-record something.
The offer is out there, and I mean, we didn't it's not. She apologized. She said she'd make it up to us. So hopefully we will pre-tape something. But honestly, it's one of those things that I used to be willing to make business agreements on a handshake because I never got fucked doing it until I got fucked doing it.
Yeah.
We
Oh
we
yeah.
we never had anyone ghost ever.
Oh,
Ever.
man.
It has never happened in the history of the show. That was the first time.
First
So
time.
But
so
just-
it doesn't happen. You think it's not. I mean, I should speak for myself because Keaton, I don't think we've ever done an interview where he did not have that concern just because that's kind of his deal. And in this case, he was right, and it saved our asses because if it had been up to me, we might have prepared 3. We would not have prepared a whole show. We did that because Keaton was worried about it.
You know, I got a couple people in my audience who are doing podcasts themselves, and this is a lesson all of you should take, especially for those that are getting started. If you choose to get started, always be prepared to be ghosted. It is a terrible thing. It doesn't happen often, but yeah, it does. But I'm glad that you guys we're at least able to smile and laugh about it. But Keaton angry,
hey, it's fine. No, just so we know,
I never seen Keaton furious Keaton. That's
well, no, just so we know, but yeah, no, it's important. Like it was never the case that like she was ready to go and we decided not to bring her in. It was a case where she said, I'll be ready soon. And we're like, okay, well, now the show's almost over. So what do you mean soon? We can't just kill a half hour. By the time she said she was ready, we do a post-show Q&A every Sunday night, which is Rumble exclusive. So we shut down the YouTube stream and the show's done. I guess by then she was ready, but by then we couldn't have done it because we were off YouTube. We were just in our Q&A mode. We had callers and everything. So that's how that went anyway.
Oh, well, guys, nonetheless, it was something because when I was checking out social media, I was like, oh my goodness, that's okay. Well, maybe, hey, that's why pencils got erasers. Everything can be erased, but you know what can't be erased is what you guys did earlier this month, which is I think pretty incredible for an independent media network to do. And that is collaborate with an independent candidate, which you guys not only helped get canvass and help promote and get signatures on his ballot, but also work in collaboration with Chicago's very own Jimmy Dore to help out Jose Vega's campaign in your state. Obviously, it's in New York City, by the way. Of course, New York City, New York State. But this is I want to ask you guys about, you know, the overall fact that you guys have really helped out Jose Vega's campaign, and by proxy, I believe Diane Scher as well, who's also running as an independent. But what was it about that campaign in particular that really made you guys want to say, okay, let's actually go out and help out this independent candidate? Obviously, in a state, New York, which is very draconian to third parties and independents like Illinois. What was it about this event leading up to this live event, but also helping out Jose Vega to make you guys like really say, hey, let's actually do something to help out at least this campaign in particular? Who wants to start off first?
Well, first of all, I would just say, you know, Jose has the ability to grab headlines and go viral and get attention. So, like, if there's one person in our circle who we know who can generate a lot of media with very little money, it's Jose, because all he needs to do is go to these town halls and stand up and start screaming. And if his friend is recording, then you get millions of dollars worth of free press just out of that. I mean, Tucker Carlson covered his AOC intervention.
Right.
So when I see that, I see potential for a candidate, because even though you're an underdog third-party candidate with not a lot of money, if you have ways of getting eyeballs on you, that tells me, okay, there is potential here. And then the second thing is, you know, the reason we decided to help Jose out is because he and his organization demonstrated a level of seriousness going in, to the point where when we come on our show and we recommend that people get involved, we know that their investment of time and in some cases money. We had people on our recommendation fly in from Ohio to canvass from Jose. One guy flew in from Kansas City to canvass for Jose. Yeah. We could trust that investment of time is at least in good hands, right? Obviously, you can't promise an outcome, but you could say that investment of time and resources is in good hands with Jose and with Jose's team, because they demonstrated a level of seriousness about the process going forward. Jose had video seminars where he coached people. He did this full hour-long tutorial on how to get signatures, how to handle the signatures once you have them, who is eligible to be a witness for other people's signatures. They actually took the process very seriously, and this has become a bit of a divisive subject in our circles, not unsurprisingly, but the Greens do it the exact opposite way. My father tried to canvass for Jill Stein this last time. He didn't know what to do with the signatures once he got them. Oh yeah, drive them up here to somebody. Like there's no organization. So I understand there are a lot of people
decades of experience.
Exactly, with decades of experience. So like Jose, a 25-year-old kid with a negative bank balance, can organize a signature drive and beat the New York system and get on the ballot. I saw that potential there, so I felt like, you know what, this is worth giving him a boost. Let's do it. That's really what it was. Russell, go ahead.
That's it. Yeah, you have to look at who is showing up. Most of these people who present themselves as third-party candidates, they're PMCs. They're not really activists. They're elites in the end, and they do not have that kind of street-level perspective. There was a film called Rocky III that featured a song called Eye of the Tiger. The theme of the film was, so many times it happens too fast. You trade your passion for glory. I feel Jose has that passion. He's not trading that passion for glory. Maybe one day he will, and then we'll fuck him up, man. We'll fuck him up.
As we should.
Can't fuck him up. We know people who can do that in a subtle way where they won't get caught. But, for now, the guy is serious. And, this is something I was thinking about when we did the fundraiser. People talk Jimmy Dore, Jimmy Dore, Jimmy Dore, Jimmy Dore. Motherfucker, who was in the Bronx in a fucking hot theater promoting this campaign? I didn't see any of these other commentators showing up to do that. What do you think? Jimmy needs to do that? He needs to do that like he needs a fucking hole in his head. He needs that to what? That promoted him? Right. He doesn't need to do that. He's actually there. Most of these people, really, bottom line, they're just cosplaying, man. It's just cosplaying. They want to come on and talk about politics, and they want to be famous, and they want to be listened to, and they want to be well known. They don't give a shit. These people don't give a shit. And frankly, that's why Briahna ghosted us, because she doesn't give a shit. I'm sorry. In the end, she doesn't give a shit. That's why. You just got fired, and you got people who stood up for you and backed you because, and I don't regret that. That was the right thing to do. Constantine Cuntrag over there, he was lying, and I had footage to prove it. And besides that, the context of that debate, she was obviously 100% right, and she was on stage with a bunch of fucking ghouls, vampires, and freaks. Of course, you're going to back her play. But, we reach out to try to maybe bridge the divide between that kind of PMC commentariat and more what we represent. And she spits on it, right? Why? Because she doesn't care. In the end, she doesn't care. In the end, it's a game. In the end, it's all performative for these people. It's all a virtue signal. So coming back to your question, with Jose, this is not a virtue signal. The guy was out there doing this long before he was running for Congress. He's not getting rich doing this. He's taking a bare salary now from the campaign so that he can do it full time.
Which is less than he would make pouring coffee.
Exactly. Oh, wow. Less than he would make pouring coffee. I went shoulder to shoulder with Jose at the Maddow event. That's not for publicity. That's for principle. So really, it comes down to that. Is the guy doing it for principle or because he likes being in front of a crowd? And I've never gotten the sense from him that it's the latter. He's completely sincere. What Keith's saying, they're winners. The Green Party are fucking losers. How long do they have to be around before you can say they're fucking losers? Are they paid to lose? Yeah, probably. I mean, I think they're there, if not for most of them, not consciously, maybe for none of them consciously. At this point, I believe the intelligence services let the Greens exist to suck out all of the energy from any kind of anti-establishment movement so they can go jerk off with the Green Party, who are not serious. You've been around for this fucking long. You can't get on the ballot in New York. In New York, it's a waste of time. That's why this is, look, what von Clausewitz said. There are no contradictions. When you think you found a contradiction, check your premises. There are no talented leftists, really. There are no talented leftists. There are no leftists who are talented enough to mount a serious challenge to power in a country that's so profoundly frustrated. The only counter-establishment narrative that bubbles up from the American public is a vulgar game show host with a gold toilet. That's the only anti-establishment voice that with the talent to get to that level. No, they let the Green Party exist because they're not effectual. That's why.
Just to add on to this, because I mentioned this too, you talk about the Green Party not being serious. I like to hold on to the audacity of hope for third parties to be successful. And in Illinois in 2010, the Greens were recognized as a legitimate party, but then they crapped the bed. And after 2016, there was, when Daniel and I got started, we went to these huge venues where the Green Party was filling up these huge spaces. And there was this potential of like, okay, wow, maybe the Greens, at least here in Illinois, can do something. And by proxy, too, Indiana as well. But from 2017 to nearing the end of 2018, a situation was happening. There was all this big talk. And then the venues were getting smaller, less people were showing up. Venues were getting smaller, less people were showing up. This goes for Illinois and Indiana, which me and Daniel, because we had only one show to do at the time on radio. And then as it was getting smaller and smaller, I remember this last event that we went to. I'm exhausted because I'm trying to figure out how we edit it. Daniel's exhausted because he's trying to figure it out too. And Daniel just turns to me and says, "Hey, dude, I think we're wasting our time with the Greens going to these venues. Like we got, and mind you, again, this was like before we really started becoming more of a presence on YouTube. He said to me, like, we're wasting our time here. Are you noticing it? He's like, yeah, there was only like 10 people in there. And we remember way back in 2017, there was like at least 200 people that we covered, 300 people at this one venue that the Illinois Green Party had. And it was incredible. It was just right after the Bernie Sanders movement. And I love third parties. I love the idea of independence, but there's this whole lack of organization. And even here in Illinois, too, when you look at the activist groups, I've said this before, during the Trump administration, they'd form up somewhere downtown Chicago, either by City Hall or somewhere in the Loop, and then they'd march and protest in front of Trump Tower, and then they go. There's no plan. Trump Tower is a private building, mind you. Again, it's right across the Chicago River, so it was beyond stupid, the lack of seriousness. And I am impressed that Jose Vegas has able to make a name for himself in your city and in your state, so that perhaps maybe potentially he could do a huge upset, which would be a sight to see for the first time in a long time. But it is just disappointing that during this election cycle where you do see these attacks against third parties, but I can't take Jill Stein seriously. I can't take Cornel West seriously because that's a clown show. And then you have RFK Jr. and now Chase Oliver of the Libertarian Party. There's so many people of the Libertarians that are just like, well, what the hell is this? And even I have to wonder just what the hell happened, because I was asking Pasta about that as well. Like, what exactly happened? He's like, well, things happen. Go ahead, Russell.
Yeah, well, look, it's complicated. I was going to say that process of the Libertarian nomination is like a ranked choice voting thing. But if you just look at it, like, you have Cornel West and Jill Stein, these two pretty big names, right? I mean, Cornel West is a very big name. Jill Stein is a big name in the sense that she's run for president in the past, right? So, almost everyone on the left knows this name. These are two big names. They both failed to make the ballot in New York. And yes, Andrew Cuomo tripled the minimum ballot signature requirement on the way out in an effort to screw third parties. But you have these big names, right? With all these people, oh, why can't you back Jill Stein? Why can't you back Cornel West? Why are you such naysayers? Why do you have to be so negative? You have these two big names. None of them make the ballot. You have this little organization with Diane Sayre and Jose Vega, two people who are relatively unknown compared to Jill Stein and Cornel West. They both get it together to make the ballot. What does that say? That demonstrates seriousness versus cosplayers, right?
Right. Exactly. I saw somebody in the chat saying, do you know how hard it is to get on the ballot in New York? Yes.
Yes, and they fucking did it, despite the fact that they got very little money and hardly anybody knows who they are. But they did it.
What does that tell you about the Green Party? What does that
But-
tell you about the Green Party? It's
Here's-
a waste of your fucking time, and whether consciously or unconsciously, I'm sure mostly unconsciously, if not entirely, they're a fucking op. They're an op. The intelligence services allow the Green Party to exist to suck energy out of more legitimate, threatening movements.
You know, when during the 22 midterm election cycle, I had a member of the Libertarian Party, Justin Tucker, and after the interview, he this was like, you know, we were just talking and shooting the breeze, and I asked him like, hey, you know, so what exactly, you know, are you guys going to do? Like, are you really going to try and get everyone on the ballot? He says, we've been working overtime on this. We've been working every single day at trying to secure every single libertarian candidate to be on the Illinois ballot. And Illinois, similar to New York, very draconian, very brutal towards third parties. This was the 2022 midterm election cycle. And Justin then said, well, it wasn't Justin. There was a few other libertarians in there too, who were talking to me. And one of them, wasn't Justin, said to me, hey, do you know what the Greens are doing? Because we're trying to ask them like, hey, can you help out too? Because usually in Illinois, the Greens and the Libertarians, the Illinois Green Party, Illinois Libertarian Party, would always go to court because the Illinois state law, the Illinois court would prevent Libertarians and Greens from being on the ballot. And they were asking me like, hey, could you reach out to them? I was like, I don't know. Usually they sometimes do get back to me. Sometimes they don't. I don't really know what's going on now. And the thing is, during that midterm election, surprise, surprise, Libertarians actually pulled it off, which is a extremely difficult task. So everyone's saying like, well, how come you're not really all in for Jill Stein? In principle, I'm all in for all the third party candidates. I want to see them succeed. But the truth is, none of them are serious. None of them have that action or that power or the idea of, or charisma to really get people to be enthusiastic for their campaigns.
And at this point, if you're not on the ballot in New York, you're not making 5%. If that's your goal, is to get her to 5%, that can't happen. You have to be on the ballot in the high population blue states in order to have a shot at that. The high population blue states are where you have the most possibility to rack up vote numbers. And New York is what, the third or fourth most populous state in the country now? I don't know. The census, it changed. It used to be that, but it's certainly top 7 or 8. And now you're off the ballot. It's not going to happen. Sorry, go ahead, Russell. Sorry.
Cornell, this is how unserious these campaigns are. When I showed the crowd size at his rally in New York, people who like Cornell West. No, but wait. Then he, a couple weeks later, on his own, tweets out a diner with 2.5 people in it. What?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. He did. This diner with, obviously I'm kidding, but I don't know, maybe 20 people were there. Why would you tweet that? People who like Cornell saw me doing it as below the belt, and then he did it to himself.
He did it, yeah.
Hey, look, Russell, here's the thing. I believe you, but please send me that link if you could find it, because there's no way he could do something that foolish and say, hey, look how many people showed up. 2 people at his event?
It wasn't 2 people. It was probably about 20 people.
Yeah,
probably about 20
people.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And he tweeted it out. This is that is the very definition of unserious. All these people are unserious, and this is what I've increasingly come to believe. That's why they're allowed to run. I don't believe that there's such a lack of talent on the left. I know there isn't, because I'm on it and I talk to a lot of people. Some of them I might agree with, some of them I might not agree with, but just evaluating talent, there's talent out there. So why do only these joke candidates run? Why do only and then you have Cornell, who has the potential to get that 5%, and then he's with the what's the guy, People's Party? He's with the People's Party.
Nick Briahna.
He's with the Green Party. Then he's not with any party. Then he's making a party. Is that because he gets a phone call, or is that because he's just a clown? I think we can say pretty confidently he got a taste of what the media would have done to him if he had stayed with the Greens, and he didn't want any part of that. Yeah,
I think it might have been fear.
They start coming at him on child support. They start coming at him on taxes. Have you heard a word about that since he left the Greens? Have you heard a
No.
word
Right.
about that shit? Not a word.
No.
So I think it would be naive to say that was not a part of it. But then if you don't have the balls to run, don't waste people's time. Just drop out. Just drop out. What are you doing? What are you doing to these poor people who are going to give you money and give them? That was the whole thing with the Marianne campaign. And that comes back to that whole PMC divide that I was trying to make an attempt to bridge. You know, I keep saying I'm like Clint Eastwood on the hog farm at the beginning of Unforgiven. You know, I'm trying to do this redemption arc, and I'm getting drawn into taking my pistols off the shelf again. I'm trying to be the peaceful farmer, but
Well,
you can't do it. And in the end, that is why. Look, Briahna really did a devastating exposure of Marianne Zionism. She did that a year after Nick did. So Nick exposed that on RBN. So why did all these PMC commentators not make her campaign out of bounds then? Why did they all promote her? Why did they all climb on board? Why, you just found out? Nick exposed that. So why didn't they listen to Nick? Because Nick didn't go to Harvard. That's why. That's why they didn't listen to Nick.
There's also been this whole gatekeeping in regards towards who can speak and who cannot speak. And I understand that you guys are a little bit short on time for because you got to do your show, which, by the way, folks, if you're not subscribed to Do Dissidence, please do so. Do Dissidence is one of the dauntless few in the great city of New York, even though we have far more superior pizza, but we are all equals. It's just Chicago is the princeps, the first among equals. So there you go. Just first amongst, just bringing in ancient Rome here. The first among, we're all equals.
Well, you know, we're coming.
Yeah, I know you're coming to Chicago for the DNC convention, August 19th through the 22nd, and Hardlens Media will be there. Who knows what the city of Chicago will have in store for us at the United Center.
Everyone's coming to that, man. Jimmy's coming. I think Nick's coming. Last I heard, Nick's coming.
Nick is coming. I think Pasa's coming. I think I don't want to quote Indie News if any of their crew members are going to be here, but anybody who's it's going to be like Game of Thrones when everyone was going after the House Greyjoy when Robert Baratheon became king. Everyone invaded it. Everyone was there. They curb stomped the Greyjoys. Everyone got drunk. It's great. So
Keaton would be coming. He can't keep it in his pants. This guy.
That's right. I'm expecting my third child end of July. Otherwise, I would be there too.
Well, nonetheless, it's good to know that we're going to be able to collaborate. So, as a final note, I just got a couple of questions.
Yeah, it's okay. We have some time. I have till like 10:40 because I got to pick up my kids, and they don't buy that "I lost track of time" excuse. That wouldn't fly with them.
No,
so I got to make sure I'm on time to pick them up.
So here's the thing. So Russell in particular, Keaton, I think you play a role in this. But if there's ever going to be talk about Game of Thrones on your show or like Star Wars or something, let me know. It's because I remember messaging you guys about because apparently the audience was saying you're talking about Game of Thrones,
like a real segment.
Yeah, or something of that nature. I would love to contribute.
I often reference the Iron Bank to explain the role of having the dollar as the reserve currency. When you're the Iron Bank, you can't fuck with the currency.
Exactly.
But a segment, yeah. Look, I mean, everybody knows I pick my battles with this stuff because poor Keaton has to sit there and be like,
It's fine. Don't worry, Russell. But here's
but
the
maybe
thing.
we will bring you on. Nick is a dork too. Nick is a dork too. No, he is. He's all into the Marvel shit and all that.
Well, I'm a Warhammer 40K fan, Game of Thrones, but because the thing is, I've been sharing this with my patron supporters. Game of Thrones potentially could be science fiction, and that hatching a dragon's egg doesn't require magic. It just requires having the right chromosomes through Mendelian genetics. But perhaps maybe we could talk about that for another time. No. I'm serious. There's a way to hatch dragons. We figured it out.
I am no, actually right now I haven't done a shit post in a long time because we've been busy, and now our producer, Skinhead Jake, he's taken some of the burden off us. That's given me some extra time. I am planning on doing my first shit post in months about the Acolyte and Star Wars in general.
I'm doing
and that will probably drop next
today.
week.
I'm
not doing the Acolyte because I'm going to do a broader so what happened to Star Wars thing.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be covering how Star Wars Theory actually got one of his videos hit. I actually want to pull this up here. So later
Are
on in
you
the show,
kidding?
yeah. So Star Wars Theory, this guy right here who's done great content. So later on in my show, I'm talking about this, and YouTube sent this. I'll be playing the video too.
Wow.
It's 5 minutes long, and they're saying that it's not suitable. And I've watched it, and I don't care where you stand politically.
He didn't get a warning or anything.
No.
But just an ad suitability.
They just demonetized it.
They did. However, I watched that 5-minute video, and I don't care where you stand politically, how you identify, who you worship, who you're going to vote for. You'll be twisting yourself in a pretzel to think that 5-minute video somehow violated any of YouTube's guidelines. It is a huge injustice. I think I think whoever was manually reviewing it probably got their marching orders from the mouse. No one wants to talk about Walt Disney and his close association with the Third Reich.
The mouse.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if they start doing that, those creators are fucked because that's a whole sector.
Yeah.
They're ruining my childhood sector. And if they start demonetizing those guys, like Nerdrotic, it's a good example. I like their stuff. I watch them.
Here's the thing. So Nerdrotic actually found this video clip. It's only 31 seconds, but Looper apparently, hey, why did you delete your post starting yours truly?
And then he pulled it
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they pulled it down. And I've watched Nerdrotic stuff, Critical Drinker stuff. Mm-hmm. I want to hear different perspectives, but they're hitting the nail on the head. Disney is going under. So, okay, again, I want to make sure that Keen doesn't get in trouble with anybody. So, here's the deal, guys. Definitely, let's collaborate. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone tuning in. Thank you for the kind words. Seriously, folks, if you're not supporting Due Dissidence, please do so. Is there any projects or events or shows that you want to promote real quick? So before we end this segment here, I want to make sure you guys have a final say and where people can follow you online.
Well, obviously, Due Dissidence, Rumble, and YouTube, and we are on Twitter as well. We're kind of between big projects now. We're trying to raise money to get to Dearborn, Michigan, to interview the abandoned Biden voters, sometime over the fall. September, October. Then I mean, my baby's coming in July, so we're gonna tweak our schedule a little bit starting in July. We will announce details of that on our own show, but we are now streaming 4 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So find us on YouTube, and always good to see you, man.
Man, it's always great to have you guys on. And as always, folks, listen, support independent media. Due Dissidence has definitely been following through. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Russell. We'll get some good Chicago-style pizza, and I'll convert you. So there you go.
Fuck yeah. Well, you're not going to convert. I lived there for a year and a half. I know what you got.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. And keep kicking ass. And seriously, thank you for showing up. Everyone, we have the rest of our main show.
Well, we always show up when we say we're going to. That's part of being a professional in the space. Yes.
There we go. Don't worry, gentlemen. I would never ghost you. So I will see you guys very soon. We're taking a short break. Russell, Keaton, Due Dissidence, tag team champions in New York City. We got the rest of our main show, so stay tuned, folks.
Bye.
Land of the free, and you'll know us by the trail of dead. It's just one more world war to complete the set. When you live by the pike, you die by the pith. You die wide-eyed, still pleading the fifth, or crying divine epithets and pathetic attempts at defense. All empathetic for those on your side of the fence. Well, I'll gladly put you and your legacy into an alternate tense of faltering senses and altered events. Like hun, it ain't a hearse, it's a reaper's stretch. Ah, how sweet, she said. Bunch of hordes in the street like it's Evil Dead. Where the thin blue line meets razor's edge. And where the corporate ladder ascends to a steel-toed boot that awaits on the ledge. You'll be licking it fresh at your boss's request till it stomps each finger and watches you fall to your death and drown in an ocean of debt. Gone with the fodder who gathered to honor the patient left, who purity tested themselves into sections, step by step, till the next election, when it's just one them and the sound of their well-read theorized breath. That's harm reduction for the lowly cost of you holding your nose and just openly buying the theft. Maybe that's all in the flick of the pen. Maybe we're all one unmarked van from a trip to the pen, being guarded by pigs who exist on a diet of dying breaths of much worthier men. Honey, heaven's expecting you. Just don't get too hung up on who they let in. Just look up at the shine of the pearly gates. You don't need to worry if there's lead in the paint. You don't need to worry if there's lead in the water, lead in the milk, lead in the honey, lead in the caustic embrace of the Heavenly Father. Lead is the flavor of passive perpetual slaughter. Lead is the taste of us led to the ledge by the lure of the legend of expert consensus, and then beckon to stretch it just one step farther. And I hope all the folks who were boastfully gloating and toasting themselves as the heroes of COVID for boosting their boosters and doing their part are now equally thrilled to be starstruck martyrs, all laid in a government grave with anonymous markers, like you're back from the carvers and off to the splicer. You're the very first wave to be slain in the war against Pfizer, that 100 years war against Pfizer. They are thinning the crowd that is striking right now to bleed adequate pay from those inhuman misers, who all sit in their office and designate coffins to people regarded as nothing but profit for Kaiser. Still the Dems want you nicer. Dems want you softer. Dems want you kinder. Yeah, they all want you graciously starving in silence. You will speak when you're spoken to. Rest of the time, you and all of us peasants are merely depressing statistics neglected in Congress's binders. All bled, bone dry, then fed to the grinder. Our headstones line each step as reminders. That's a lesson in object permanence learned in the furnace by workers consigned to the fire. Workers bled, bone dry, then fed by the fed to the grinder. Fed by the fed to the grinder. Now the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. Now the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. And the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. The fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. The fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. Fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your mind, that it grinds yourself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. Here's where our leaders would see us all led.